Exodus 26 and 27 tonight. I am really enjoying going through Exodus. I didn't think it was going to be as exciting as it has been so far. And maybe it's just because I didn't have a deep knowledge like we're getting going through Exodus together. I really kind of thought, 10 Commandments, a little bit of Moses, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, people walking out through the desert, whatever. But like, there's so much that's in this book of Exodus. And what that tells me is if I got so much out of our time together going through the book of Genesis all of last year, and then in the fall, I think in September, we started Exodus, and all the way till now, here we are in January, and it's like we're spending all this time in these two books. Imagine how much else is in our scriptures. How much else is in there? I mean, this is a book. I could sit down and read this book in a couple of days. If I just sat down and read like a novel or something, I could sit down and read this in a couple of days. Right? I mean, if this was Harry Potter, some of you sat down and read the Harry Potter over a weekend when it came out. Be honest. Okay? Now, my point is, we don't read the Bible like that. So, there's so much in here, and there's so much to unpack, so I'm glad that you're with me here. I have the TV here for a reason tonight, but we're going to start here. bradflack.com/Exodus, if you're not there. This is kind of what we're looking at on the website, and you can see here, there's the calendar, try to put a calendar when stuff's going up, and then these are the different chapters that we're doing, and I have it hyperlinked, so, if you click on Genesis 4 and 5, or Exodus 4 and 5, will zoom down to the bottom of the page where Exodus 4 and 5 are located. Or you can just continue scrolling down through the website here. And then this is our video, which we're videoing this one right now for Exodus 26 and 27. But each week we video the class that we have with those present, and then you're able to watch it later. I also have these uploaded on YouTube as well. And then there's also, look, there's diagrams and archaeological stuff on here, and there's pictures. There's other videos that are applicable to what it is that we're studying. That was early on, and then we have historical and cultural stuff. That's a meme that I put on there because it was applicable. There's maps and stuff like that on there. So if you're not already on bradflack.com/Exodus, which likely you found this video by being on there, but go back and study all the other stuff. I wasn't really here just to plug the website, obviously, and I don't make any money on this. Is not like it. This is just God has given me a lot of stuff, and I want to share it with you. Okay, so we'll scroll down here. We'll go down to the bottom. There's all sorts of cool stuff on here. If you haven't taken time to read through it, there's all sorts of cool stuff on here. There's the Ark of the Covenant. There's the acacia tree. This guy was talking about the Ark of the Covenant and like how could they do metalworking and stuff like that. This is actually the same thing that you have here, Mr. Chris. It's just a zoomed-in picture of this thing. That's the bowl or jar of manna that they collected, and they put it in the ark whenever the ark was completed. Okay, so there's the rod or staff, Aaron's staff that blossomed, budded. It was almonds. And so here we are in Exodus 26 and 27. Of course, once we're done with tonight's video, it'll be right here at the top, just underneath chapter 26 and 27. But there's a couple of things on here that I want us to discuss. Okay, so last week we talked about in Exodus 25. And I'll tell you the verse in Exodus 25, verse 5. So 25:5. God told Moses, "Go and collect these things from the people so that we can build." Remember, I said it was like a DIY project. Like, hey, we're going to do arts and crafts. Here we go. And so in verse 5, it says, "Ram's skins dyed red, porpoise skins, acacia wood, oil for light oil. Okay, I kind of made a point that porpoise skins is an odd thing to include. Okay, so I included here in the Mediterranean, like we've got bottlenose dolphins here in the Gulf of Mexico. In the Mediterranean, they have what's called a harbor porpoise. Okay, a harbor porpoise, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of a darker kind of dolphin than we have here. We have a lighter colored dolphins here. And in this museum, they actually have a different porpoise or dolphin here, kind of taxidermy. This is what the harbor porpoise looks like. It's kind of got a shorter snout on the front of it, okay? And so what I want you to see is the skin, if indeed this is what they were talking about. The skin, if it's tanned correctly and appropriately, it would be a water repellent cover to the tabernacle. Okay? Now, I want to say this. The word in the Hebrew for porpoise there, if you look it up in the Strong's Dictionary, and I don't have that information right in front of me. I did do it, and I actually texted back and forth with my pastor about it. We had a lively text conversation about it. It's something to the word of like tanash or takash, something like that. It's a very Hebrew sounding word. And it is effectively, like what is manna? What is manna? Remember what that is? What is it?
What is it?
Right? Well, takash or I can't remember the word. Don't get me wrong in my pronunciation. Okay? It actually translates to animal.
Not as specific.
But not very specific. Now, they normally attribute animal to a number of things. And among those are sheep skins, goat skins, which makes sense because if you've got ram skins dyed red and you have goat skins, okay, well, you've got flocks. So that makes sense. We could check that box. I wouldn't be opposed to that being the case. It also refers to badger skins. I don't have an exhaustive zoological study of the Sinai Peninsula. I don't remember reading about badgers in the Sinai Peninsula.
Badgers are in the desert.
But I don't remember in that area.
No, yeah.
Are they?
I don't know.
I don't know anything about badgers.
I don't know either. Okay. Now, the next word is porpoise. So in my MEV, in my modern English version that I'm using, they translated as that particular animal for porpoise. But in some of the diagrams that I have in here, they have it as badger skins. And there's actually one more definition that says sometimes referred to as porpoise and other such animals, blah, blah, blah. And then it says dash, also antelope.
Have you tried different Bibles?
Yeah, I went through a bunch of different versions, and they say badgers, goats, and porpoise.
They say porpoise too.
It's an odd. So, first of all, I'll tell you, I don't know. Okay? In the scheme of things, does it really
No, I was
matter?
about to say, it doesn't really matter.
No. But it is interesting that it's plausible if they were at the Nile Delta, right up here, they were up against the Mediterranean, or not far from it, they could have harvested porpoise skins at that point. That's plausible. It's a possibility. Okay? They crossed over the Sinai Peninsula over here. I'm sorry, there's actually two forks which are not shown here. They crossed over here in the Sea of Aqaba. They could have gathered them there.
Probably everything was harvested.
Yeah.
Nothing wasted.
It also makes sense that it could be goat skins because they had flocks and herds. So I don't have heartburn about it being or not being any particular thing.
Porpoise just sounds more crazy.
Right, that's true. So I included this in here because I want you to know it's possible, and this is kind of what it could look like if it was the porpoise. But I am not saying with 100% certainty that that's exactly what it was. All right. So let's get into before we get into the tabernacle itself. I'm going to show you this picture, and I sent this to all of y'all before class. And if you're watching online, just make sure that you have this picture. You can just listen to my voice and scroll down the page to this picture here. This this is very important, okay? This is in the temple in Abu Simbel. So the Nile River actually flows northbound, right? We know this, it flows from here, from Tanzania, and flows northbound. Okay, it flows northbound. So upper Nile is actually this part here. And lower Nile, this water flows downhill, lower Nile is up here. You tracking with me? The upper Nile, when they conquered the Nubians, Ramses, there's a big turn in the river where it makes an eastbound turn, and then it heads north into the Nubian territory. So he just conquered the Nubians, so it was the Egyptians and the Nubians, and he just conquered that territory, and right where that river kind of makes this turn into the Nubian territory, he set up on almost an island this temple of Abu Simbel. And you come around that corner, and there's 4 pharaohs, like 50-foot tall, sitting on thrones. Like, it's very like, whoa, we're in the territory of Pharaoh now. And that's really kind of what it was meant to do. Okay? Inside,
Larger than life.
larger than life. Inside that temple, you walk into the first room, there's a number of, reliefs. It was where they plastered the walls and they kind of carved out. They relieved the wall of some of the stuff. And then they would paint them. So it was 3-dimensional paint. Okay? Now the paint is faded or washed off or been chipped off through the years. And so we're left to kind of imagine what the colorization might have looked like. So this is a colorized version of what is there, but the colors are kind of imagined as this is what it could have been, based on maybe some pigments we found in other archaeological excavations. Okay? So what we're seeing here, if you'll look with me, notice this. You see this outside edge around here? Can you see what that shape is? I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this. No. So I'm trying to have us look at what does this perimeter look like to you? Like a wall. Yeah. Yeah.
Barrier.
A barrier, a rampart. And this is actually what they've uncovered is this is made of shields. So the soldiers, when they are not in the actual act of battle, they would in the sand and line up their shields around in this rectangular shape.
Who else did that?
Vikings.
When they were in their longships, their shields would be lined up in these slides. So people from the bank couldn't fire arrows.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. That's awesome. So they put the shields here, so they are looking to protect whoever's on the inside, right?
Like that. And then you got easy access to them.
And then as
You're
you're
not
running
gonna
out,
be
you
like,
can go pick
hey,
them up.
talking to your wife, but you broke my shield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so this is on purpose. Now, if you'll notice, like for example, where is that thing? Right here. This is the famous Ramsey's lion that he had, that he would take with him when he traveled. It was his pet lion. It's just showing out right there. If you'll notice, there's just chariots lined up here and horses.
Mike Tyson had like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like big tigers and lions.
Exactly. And you can see here, they're cleaning up. Looks like they're cleaning up behind the horses over here, dealing with them. This guy's over here. It looks like, you see this deal right here? It looks like he's making arrows to go into the quiver right there. So they're doing things in preparation. Are you following with me? Are you in agreement with me so far? Okay. Now over here, you'll notice that they've got a chariot. There's no wheels on it. So this is like a repair shop back here. Right? This is the chop shop. They're back here working on this. Maybe they're doing a 10-minute oil change. I'm not sure. But they're going to do that over here. All right? And if you'll notice back here, you see this guy looks like he's getting slapped. That is where they actually murdered, they killed the spies who came into Pharaoh and gave bad information. And they found out that it was the wrong information. And so they murdered him.
Double agent.
Double agent. So that's actually a bunch of his archaeological digs, you'll find that stuff, okay? And then here you see they're judging, making a judgment on this person
I
here.
love the stories.
Yeah,
The American Indians did that too.
yeah,
That probably came from them.
yeah, exactly. Well, they're all from the line of Ham, interestingly enough, as we talked about in Genesis last year. So, we have all this activity going on here. Why are they here? Okay? This doesn't look like it's a caravan of people traveling from one place to another to sell their goods and wares, does it? No. Okay. This is obviously a military power installation. They're not merchants. Okay? And this doesn't look like a church or a temple or a market. Okay? This looks like a place where this is walled off because we're protecting whoever's inside, and it's a fortress. It's an on-the-go fortress. You tracking with me? Now look, there's an entrance right here, and this entrance goes straight in, and it enters into this rectangular box here. This rectangular box, if we'll zoom in a little bit more here. Okay. This rectangular box, you can kind of see this faint outline of what looks like almost kind of like a veil or a bubble here. That was, remember, this is a fortress on the go. And this little outline here is a tent. And it looks like whoever these guys are, they're not concerned with cleaning up after the horses or repairing the chariots or even dealing with spies. All these people are facing one direction. It looks like they're doing what? Worshiping. Okay? They're worshiping. And they are in this tent here. And then in this tent by himself, this is what's called a cartouche. Okay? The cartouche is normally the scarab beetle and some other markings, and it was each pharaoh had their own cartouche. It was like their seal. Okay? It's just an oval sort of shape, and it has like a scarab.
I guess what is that we're looking at in the picture? What is this? These people? Like, what is that?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm saying, what are we looking at there?
Okay, good question. Yeah, so every time you see this oval-shaped cartouche, that is indicative of the presence of Pharaoh. Okay? These winged creatures on either side are images of some of the gods that we talked about in the plagues. Back in Exodus, I think it was 10. Ra, Horus, Osiris are normally depicted being in the same place with Pharaoh, which makes him equal to them, or greater than them because they were both facing towards Pharaoh in the middle. Are you tracking with me?
That's like that indicates Pharaoh.
Yes.
And this is the God's holding on.
And the gods are basically
yeah,
like,
yeah,
ta-da,
yeah,
here's
yeah,
Pharaoh,
yeah.
right? So on both sides, ta-da, ta-da, it's Pharaoh. So he is the everything, yeah. So everything in this picture is related to protecting this fortress on the go. There's an outer wall, and then there's an inner sanctum or inner wall, and then there is a place of worship here, and then this is the place where Pharaoh, the king, the one in charge, where he resides. And he has other gods going, ta-da, ta-da. You tracking with me? Okay. Let's go now and read Exodus 26. And let's see what we can find. Okay? We're going to come back to this. Exodus 26, verse 1. And I forgot my microphone tonight, so I know the audio will be not as quality as it is usually when you're watching these videos. It sounds the same to you guys here, but if you're watching on the video online, sorry, I forgot the camera to the microphone tonight. So anyway, I'll try to project so you can hear it. Exodus 26, verse 1, and I'm again in the modern English version. Moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twisted linen, and blue and purple and scarlet. So they're making some sort of tapestries, and they're making 10 of them. Okay? And they're going to be white linen. When you make linen, which is made from papyrus or flax, you make linen, you twist it into a thread, and it normally comes out white. And then they said that they would like, God says that He would like to see blue, purple, and scarlet mixed in here. And Chris, where's the blue, purple, and scarlet come from? Shellfish in the Mediterranean. Okay. Talked about that a little bit last week. Great that you brought that up. So glad you did. So make them with cherubim, the work of a skilled workman. So he's saying, embroider into it angels. Remember we talked about cherubim being the angels that are around the throne? So he said, make sure you put on those, not just plain white, and don't just put red, blue, and purple stripes on it, but like embroider it into where it looks like angels on there. So you remember that these are the cherubs.
Images of angels?
Yes.
They have the same images we do nowadays, like wings and stuff. Like
It's the
did they have the same images as we do in modern days of angels?
mostly,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
mostly. So he's saying, I want these curtains to have these images of the angels because I want you to remember that not just any angels, but the cherubim, because this is where the throne, right? The throne room. And we talked about last week how he has a throne here, but this is not the throne of power. What is this? Mercy. The throne of mercy.
See,
There
yeah.
is a throne nonetheless. Okay. So the length of each curtain will be 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. So what does that look like, Chris?
Well, the entire tent was 45 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 15 feet high. It was a wooden skeletal structure overlaid with gold, with no solid wooden or front wall. 5 wooden bars passed through rings attached to each frame.
Now that's for the inner tent. But
The holy, okay, this so if you want to
the
talk
whole
about
thing.
the holy place, the tabernacle, the holy place of the tabernacle.
Yeah.
When you entered it, it was 30 feet. It was 30 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 15 feet high. So when you entered into it, it was bigger.
Okay, so here we go. So let's look at these numbers again. Now, real quick.
Sounds like to me the tent opened up more.
Yeah. So here's what I want us to do. We know that what we're talking about first is these 10 curtains are going to be the big tabernacle courtyard. Okay, 10 curtains. But you're talking about here.
Where's the entrance? Okay.
So you're saying that this is 30 feet wide?
The Holy of Holies is 30 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 15 feet high. Now the whole tent is 45 feet long.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at there.
Yes.
Like that. So my line is not right.
30 long, 15.
Like that. 30 feet. Okay. And then, so these curtains, it says these curtains here will be, I'm 26.2, so I don't know if you have something in 26.2 there, Chris.
It says assuming the cube, 26.2, assuming that a cubit is 18 inches.
Right.
Each of the 10 curtains would measure 40 feet by 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, 42 by 6 feet.
Okay, so we've got, this thing is gonna be 6 feet high,
Some big curtains.
okay? 6
Oh,
feet
yeah.
high, all the way around. My drawing, I'm an awesome artist, by the way. But it's 6 feet high, okay? And the average person was not 6 feet tall. You would be average,
Yeah.
maybe even tall for some.
Yeah, I was saying people my height is shorter.
The average person was like on 5'4".
And at 42 feet long, and there's 10 of them, so 420 feet around this thing. So I want you to imagine with me for a second, this room, okay? This room that we're in, 30, let's just look at the inner part here. 30 wide by 45 long total. So 30 wide is smaller than this room, and 45 feet total is, so this piece right here would fit in the middle of this room. by 45 would fit right in the middle of this room. You tracking with me? Okay. Just wrap our minds around the size.
It's,
Okay? All right. Let's continue. 5 curtains shall be joined together to one another, so 5 on this side and 5 on this side, and they'll kind of wrap around and connect here in the back. And the other 5 curtains shall be joined to another. And you shall make loops of blue on the edge. So, have you seen curtains where it's like a curtain, and then you've seen the fabric sewn over a loop, and then the rod can hold those little loops?
Like a curtain rod, so it goes through the.
Yeah, but it's just little loops.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So he's saying make blue loops on the edge. Likewise, you should make loops in the outermost edge of the curtain. So on the, not just across the top have the loops, but on the edge, so that way you can connect them together. Okay. And likewise, you should make loops in the outermost edge of the curtain in the second set. You shall make 50 loops in one curtain, and you shall make 50 loops in the edge of the curtain that is in the second set. The loops are to be opposite of one another. You shall make 50 clasps of gold and join the curtains together with the clasp, so the tabernacle shall be one unit. So it's saying on the end, you make 50 on this end, and then on this one over here, 50 on this one, but have them offset so you can put them like this and then have gold clasps that will be close together.
You know, it's very detailed,
Yes.
the directions that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It wouldn't like, just go build something.
right.
yeah, it was definitely.
So here, yeah, yeah, this is it. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. You can see here we've got this long white fabric all the way around, and it would have been connected, and then they've got these poles that are holding it up. Okay, so we're in Exodus 26, verse 7 now. You shall make curtains of goat's hair, so specifically, we're supposed to make it from here, not linen, but goat's hair, which means it's going to be, it's going to have to be woven, not just spun together. Okay? Covering upon the tabernacle, you shall make 11 curtains, and the length of each curtain will be 30 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. So that should be, if I'm not mistaken, that's like 40 feet by 6 feet or something like that. And those curtains went across and kind of laid over and went next to each other to fill up. Now remember, here's the deal. This thing has to be able to be taken down.
That's why it's basically what this calls it, a glorified nomad tent.
Yes.
It had to be portable.
It had to be portable. You had to be able to take it apart. Okay? So that's verse 7 and 8. You shall join 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves, and you shall double over the 6th curtain in the front of the tabernacle. So they're saying you should double over in the front here. You shall make 50 loops on the edge of the end of the curtain in one set, and 50 loops on the edge of the curtain in the second set, and you shall make 50 bronze clasps, and put the clasp in the loops, and join the tent together so that it may be one unit. So, pretty detailed. The part that remains of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the back of the tabernacle. So, in the back, you have this slanting down in the back, okay, where it just is, the extra's hanging over, and the extra is on the sides, is being pulled down, as you can see here. Now, there's poles that are in here, we'll talk about in a second, and you can see here underneath, there's these guy lines, these ropes, that are holding those poles upright, and then the stuff's over top. So when you lay it over top, it lays across the top of those guy lines and gives you that angle. This is to prevent weather from going in there. Now, we're in the desert. This is not like a crazy rainy place, but you certainly wouldn't want there to be rain inside of your place of worship. Okay. Let's continue. Verse 13, 26:13. A cubit on one side and a cubit on the other side, of which remains in the length of the curtains of the tent, shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle, and this side and on the other to cover it. You shall make a covering for the tent out of ram skins dyed red. Where we heard that before. Right, last week. And a covering above of porpoise skins. That's what mine says. Others say badger skins. Others say goat skins. It's of animal skins. Okay, we'll just say
I like
some
porpoise, it's exotic.
Is it that verse 14?
That was verse 14. Yeah.
No, it says of rams.
Ram skin. Well, ram skin dyed red,
Yeah, that's what mine
and
says.
then what does it say after that?
Over that, a covering of porpoise skins.
Mine says the Los Angeles Rams.
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
That's good.
You shall make boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood. We talked about acacia wood last week. Standing upright. So you're going to have boards upright here. Okay? And I actually have a detail. So let's look. We'll come back to this thing. Okay, so here's an interior detail. See how there's boards that are upright? So let's continue. Make boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood sitting upright. 10 cubits will be the length of each board. 10 times a foot and a half, or 10 times 18 inches, is 180 inches. So that means they're going to be about 15 foot tall, which we talked about already. It was 15 foot. Right? Okay. And a cubit and a half shall be the width of each board. So the cubit and a half shall be the width of each board. So a cubit and a half is like 2 feet, right? There shall be 2 tenons for each board fitted to one another, and you shall make all the boards of the tabernacle in this way. And you shall make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side. You shall make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. For the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, you shall be 20 boards and 40 sockets of silver. So what he's saying here is these rings, because remember, we have to be able to take this thing apart. And so, if you make wood and you put these rings on here, then you could just put basically a dowel through those rings to make it rigid and hold together. And then whenever it's time to pack up, you pull this rod out of there, and then all the pieces can just be collapsed together and wrap them up and put them on a cart or whatever. So it's meant to be, it's a portable place of worship. Okay? This construction would likely not have been completely alien to them.
That was a
Yeah, this is how they built tents.
common
A
practice.
nomad lifestyle.
Correct.
They do the nomads with them.
Right. So let's see here. For the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, there should be 20 boards, and there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. For the back of the tabernacle to the west, you shall, so to the west is the back. So we know which direction this thing's facing. The door opens to the east. If the back is the west, then the door is facing east. Okay? And there's a reason for that. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So it shall be for both of them. They form the 2 corners, and there shall be 8 boards with their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, 2 sockets under another board. You shall make bars of acacia wood, the bars of acacia wood, right? For five for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle, for the back to the west. The middle bar in the center of the board shall reach from end to end. Okay? So this one here shall reach from end to end, all the way through. You shall overlay the boards with gold and make their rings of gold to provide places for the bars, and you shall overlay the bars with gold. More gold. Where'd they get all this gold? Right. And what verse are we at now? 29. Where did they get all this gold from? We talked about this last week.
They were giving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They carried all this gold out of Egypt,
Yeah.
a couple hundred miles to where they are.
Gold.
That must have been quite a load.
And I learned something last week. I wasn't aware that gold is very heavy as far as metal goes.
It is very heavy as far as metal goes. That's right. Yeah. So, interesting. Verse 30. You shall set up the tabernacle according to the plan which have been shown on the mountain. Okay? So, obviously, God had some sort of either made an image for him to see, or actually made like a plan set for him to see. And so he's like, remember, I showed you all this already, but just in case, here's the board, make them this wide, do this. He's telling all the instructions. He's like, just like I showed you up there. Remember that? Oh yeah, you did show me that. Like you forget having an account. Okay.
You know, someone told God?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
You shall make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, and it shall be made with cherubim. That means have angels on it. The skillful work of a workman. That means an embroiderer. And you shall hang it on 4 pillars of acacia wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks also shall be of gold on 4 sockets of silver. And you shall hang up the veil under the clasps so that you may bring in the ark of the the veil, and the veil shall serve for you as a partition between the holy place and the most holy. So this is the holy place, this is the most holy, and here's the curtain. It's going to have angels on it. It's going to have,
Can I add this real quick?
yeah,
The most holy place, don't look at this one. The most holy place, I don't know the measurement, but it was here, the holy place, it was here that Yahweh could descend to meet with his people in a cloud, which we call theophany. The high priest could enter only once a year on the Day of Atonement.
right.
See,
Is that,
Yeah.
Yom Kippur, the day they celebrate, right?
all this for once a year. You know, once a year.
That's if they didn't move. If they had to move, they had to set it all up again. It's still not going inside.
Oh, wow. That is
So-
the Day of
And you know, the
Atonement.
Ark of the Covenant was the only thing in the Holy Holies. You know, the bread table, altar,
All that stuff's out here.
yeah, that stand.
So we talked about this last week, the table of showbread. We talked about how that, remember Bethlehem is the town of bread.
Town of bread.
That's in the temple, that's where they made it, but here's where they were put, and there's 12 of them because there was 12 tribes. And here was the candelabra, and here's an example of a menorah candelabra. And the altar of incense. And the altar of incense in there, which is a good fragrance. So God knows that he created us with senses. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, feeling, and his experience that he wants to create is dealing with senses. Light from the sight from the light, taste from the bread, smells from there. You tracking with me? Okay, very good.
These of evil, darkness, they smell foul.
Yeah,
It's a foul smell.
That's true.
that's right. You shall put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony in the most holy. And you shall set the table outside the veil, and the lampstand opposite the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south. So it said, put the lampstand on the south. Okay, see that? So that's the north, this is the south. So it's very specific.
I love that though. God is very specific.
There's not a lot of like wiggle room. It's like, well, in my world, I kind of see the.
Yeah, it's not left up to your own,
Do what you think.
No.
it's not left up to your own
No.
interpretation. It's very
But
specific.
you also probably knew there'd be a lot of women on it, you know, the decoration.
Yeah,
So this is house, gotta be done.
yeah.
Interior design was a big,
Lady that went to jail. The decorators, she was Better Homes and Gardens.
Stuart.
yeah.
Verse 36, you shall make a screen for the doorway of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet, fine twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer. And you shall make 5 pillars of acacia wood for the screen, and overlay them with gold, but their hooks also made of gold. You shall cast 5 sockets of bronze in them. So there's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars here. And you have a big curtain going across here with embroidered on there. Now, I want you to think for a second. The national financial investment that the people of Israel are putting into this.
You think there was a lot?
I'm wondering.
You would,
Now,
there would have.
we need to go back to chapter 19 when they're at the foot of Mount Sinai and it's shaking and it's smoking and it's burning and there's lightning and there's thunders and there's sounds of trumpets. They're probably at that point saying, you want that? Yeah, fine. Whatever.
We surrender.
Yeah. There's probably a little bit of healthy fear of God. Okay? We're not done with Exodus yet. That's foreshadowing. So we'll get there. All right. So that's chapter 26. Okay. Let's go into chapter 27 and then we'll go back to our Egyptian conversation. You shall make, 27 verse 1. You shall make an altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide, so 5 times a foot and a half, and it's going to be like 7.5 feet by 7.5 feet. Okay. The altar shall be square, and its height shall be 3 cubits, so 4.5 foot tall. So 4.5 foot tall, and that's a pretty decent size. It's like
That's what I was saying.
yeah, it's a pretty decent size. It's like 2 sheets of plywood, roughly.
That's large, yeah.
Okay. So you shall make its horns on 4 corners. So I'm going to scroll down here because I've got some more imagery. So here we go. Make horns on its 4 corners. Its horns shall be part of it, and you shall overlay it with bronze. Notice here weird he didn't say use gold. Why would you not use gold here?
Because it was gonna be burnt sacrifices.
Burnt sacrifices, and the heat could melt the gold.
Because gold is soft.
Gold is soft. It's heavy, but it's soft.
So once it's
kind of a paradox.
once it's near the fire, it just kind of gives out.
So like, I also want to ask, I know that gold is a weak or soft metal, but heavy metal.
Yeah, it's dense as far as its molecular structure, but it's soft as far as its ability to withstand outside forces. Alright, so you shall make its pots for its ashes. So there's pots for its ashes, and shovels, and its basins, and meat hooks, and fire pans. Think about this, guys. What God has just instructed them to make is a gigantic, awesome barbecue pit.
I had asked a question, why the horns, and I couldn't answer, because I did not know.
I don't know why
Other
either.
than decoration.
I'm thinking just to remind you that it's
What
sacrifice.
it's for.
Yeah. Bull horns or whatever. I don't know for certain. Maybe to keep people back from, I don't know. But I know that this is a gigantic barbecue pit.
Occasional.
Yeah. They get close enough to that thing raging with fire, they'll get off the shoe. So, here is, we've got all the implements and all that stuff. Because listen, if you're burning animals, some of them you cook, but some of them you burn, it's called a burn offering. You literally burn until it's gone. Well, this box is gonna fill up with ashes. If you're burning the wood, it's gonna fill up with ashes. So, God is already planning ahead. He said, if you look, verse 2 of 27, you shall make its pots for its ashes and its shovels, and its basins and its meat hooks and its fire pans. You shall make all its vessels out of bronze. Is it gold? It's bronze.
Oh, the whole, okay.
This is all bronze.
Even the size of it, I mean, like,
Yeah.
Remember the gold would melt.
I meant the size.
Bronze. Bronze, okay? And you shall make a grating for it, a network of bronze on the net. You shall make 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners, and shall put it under the edge of the altar, beneath, so that the net will reach halfway up the altar. And you shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze. And the poles shall be put into the rings, so the poles shall be on the 2 sides of the altar when carrying it. You shall make it hollow with boards, just as it was shown you on the mountain, so they shall make it. So, these rings here, you have long poles, and they'll pick it up and carry it. I mean, these guys are literally tailgating outside of the tabernacle. Which, Los Angeles
Rams.
Miami Dolphins, right? Yeah. So, this is good stuff. And we know from Genesis, what was that, 9? Genesis 8, Genesis 9, that God loves a good barbecue. Noah kicked that off for him.
No one kicked that off.
The sweet, that's why every morning I like incense.
One in prayer.
Sure.
Know
Look at
now,
your senses.
we know now why.
Yeah.
God loves the
That's right. Alright, so we're in verse 9 of 27 now. You shall make the court of the tabernacle on the south side. There will be curtains for the court of fine twined linen, 100 cubits long on one side. It shall have 20 pillars with 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be silver. Likewise for the north side, the length shall be curtains 100 cubits long. So this was actually the exterior. I'm sorry. I steered you wrong. I got ahead of myself. So the exterior is what we're talking about now. Okay? So 100 cubits long. So 100 times 18 inches is 1,800 inches. So anyway, what it ends up being is, here's a size comparison. Yeah, but so here's an American football field. Here's a size comparison. That's what the exterior wall.
Good idea.
Okay? And then this is the interior. Remember that the interior part, the 45 by 30, can fit in here. Okay? So we're saying this is probably not a lot bigger than maybe this room and this hallway back here. I mean, think about it. It's just not a gigantic place.
Remember, it didn't need to be because it was
Portable.
it had to be on the go. You didn't know when enemies would come.
That's right. So, the hooks and pillars of their bands will be made of silver. Likewise for the north side, which the north side will be over here, the entrance faces east. Okay. And there shall be curtains of 100 cubits long and 20 pillars, and there are 20 sockets of bronze, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be of silver. For the width of the court on the west side, which is back here, shall be curtains of 50 cubits with their 10 pillars and their 10 sockets. The width of the court on the east side shall be 50 cubits, and the curtains on the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits and 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. On the other side shall be curtains 15 cubits with 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. So if you note, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember? 10. And then over here on the north side had 20 pillars. So there's 20 pillars. Like these examples, these drawings, there's actually one in, I believe, Timna, Israel or something like that, where it's actually, they have a working model set up, and they follow these instructions. Now, if you'll remember, last week we talked about, even here, the decorations that were on here, it's not wrong that there's decorations on it, we don't know exactly what it looks like. And people's different interpretations of what the angels may have looked like, and all that kind of stuff. So, they did the best that they could there, and you can actually, I'll put a link here, I didn't do that, I meant to do that. I'll put a link here to that working model, and you can actually take a virtual tour of it, and kind of get a feel for it. And actually, our pastor has been there, and walked in it. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, we are in verse, so we did 16, okay, we're at 16. For the gate of the court, there should be a curtain of 20 cubits, of blue, purple, and scarlet, fine twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer, with their 4 pillars and their 4 sockets. All the pillars around about the court shall be furnished with silver bands. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of bronze. And the length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the width of 50 throughout. And the height 5 cubits of fine twisted linen, and their sockets of bronze. All utensils of the tabernacle used in all its services, and all its tent pegs, and all the tent pegs of the court shall be of bronze. So all these tents out here, all these pegs that are holding these things up, all bronze. Yeah. I mean, as far as tents go, I wouldn't call it ultralight. I wouldn't want to carry that on my backpacking trip. But as far as places of worship in the middle of the desert, this is not a bad looking. This is not a hollow. This is not a shanty. Right? This is very, very nice.
That's on the go.
Yeah.
On the go.
Yeah. All right, 27 verse 20. You shall command the children of Israel that they bring you pure oil of olive, pressed for the light, to cause the lamp to burn continually. In the tent of meeting outside the veil, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall arrange it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a perpetual statute for the children of Israel for generations to come. So they're going to have oil burning every night from dark until morning time, and it's Aaron and his people are in charge of making sure that happens. To make sure it's lit. The people are responsible for donating oil, but they're responsible for making sure it's lit. So making sure that this thing in here on the south wall is lit every night, all night long, so there's always light in there.
Did you write down the oil?
Got it.
All right. The olive oil that they used, and they were commanded to use, it was beaten olive oil. Okay, here's why they wanted beaten olive oil. Beaten olive oil indicates that the best oil was produced by beating the olives rather than crushing them in an olive press. One method of obtaining olive oil was by grinding the olives with a mortar and pestle, or by rolling roof over rock surfaces to crack the olives. These olives were immersed in boiling water, then squeezed by hand. The oil was skimmed off the surface of the water. This was virgin oil at its best and finest, and was highly valued in Christ. Quality oil of this type was used for the lamps in the tabernacle. Awesome. It wasn't just regular oil.
Yeah.
It was the best of the best.
Best of the best. Yeah, it was okay. So let's go back to this. Do you recognize anything here? Take a look again. We have an outer wall to prevent people from coming in. We have an inner wall
Holy of Holies are
where
true.
people are worshiping, and then we have a place where the Pharaoh exists and the other gods are in there.
Owners community.
Perhaps God utilized cultural references that they would understand.
In fact, the Ark of the Covenant, Moses used Egyptian architecture.
Sure.
That was Egyptian architecture. The same type thing was in King Tut's tomb. They kind of looked like it.
Oh, you had mentioned that.
Because like you're saying, people have to relate. You have to relate to it.
That's right. Yeah. So that means that what God was stating here is not something brand new. And what he was saying was, what they're using it for is to put their power out. Because this is the camp that Pharaoh would set up when he was at war to go beat, abuse, take over, rule over people. God says, like verses Exodus 25, 26, and 27 now, God says, this tabernacle that I would like for you to set up, and this one here, you notice it's facing west. He says, I want it to face east, which is always indicative of the rising sun, and that's the return of Jesus at some point, which predates this. But the rising of the sun is an example itself of light. They're coming to say the light. Now, it's interesting that they let this be facing. They made this facing west because when they did worship the sun, Ra, they would have him in a lot of their stuff as one of the gods that they worship. But they didn't make it face east because in this particular setup, Ra is not the one to be worshipped. Who's in the Holy of Holies, if you want to call it that here? Pharaoh is. So why would you face it east and give credit to somebody else when you want to be the one in the Holy of Holies? Okay. So Pharaoh had it face west. God has it face east because he says, I'm the one that makes the sun to rise and the sun to set. And I'm the one who breaks the darkness with the light. Okay. Now, we have the outer wall. That means that not every single person can just walk up to that wall. Now, it's just linen. Someone could take a knife and cut through it or whatever. You had to go walk around to get into the entrance. Okay. And in our example over here on this one, I have it facing the wrong direction. So my bad. I was trying to copy that. Okay.
You know, remember we were talking the other day, Brad, about bury, how we bury, Christians we bury our loved ones facing east.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
On my way to go crush.
Correct. That's exactly right.
And the reason why the tabernacle, the rear of it, was facing westward was because the literal translation of the word to the sea. Westward Hebrew actually means to the sea. For the Hebrews, because their ancestors sojourned in the land of Canaan, this word was in reference to the Mediterranean Sea. So the rear was facing Canaan to the sea.
Yeah.
So there's significance. I like that. So even the direction of how this was laid out, the tabernacle, it all had a reason. That's right. You know? Facing the east, there's a reason.
And you can see here they're giving offerings in here. Remember, this is where the menorah, the candelabra, and the table of showbread was in there. This is saying we worship you as the great warrior, the great leader of us, inside the holy. This is the holy and in the holy of holies. Inside the holy area, they're saying you're the light who breaks the darkness and never goes out, and you're the one who provides our sustenance. Okay, so that's what's in here, and then we have God in here, and inside of there we have a throne of sorts, a mercy seat, surrounded by winged creatures, cherubims, and God doesn't say, I'm in here, I'm ruling. That would be his throne room. He said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this so that I can have a place with you. I want to meet with you, Moses. Remember we talked about that last week? I'm going to meet with you, Moses. And we're going to meet here at the mercy seat. Mercy is not getting what you deserve. You deserve death, but I'm not going to do that. I want to have a relationship with you. This doesn't look like somebody wants a relationship. This looks like, these are my people, they're out doing stuff. I'm going to lock myself away in this place. God is eternal, and he is outside of our dimensions, even though he's also within all of our dimensions. But he is saying, I don't need to hide away in a place. I'm going to actually make this so that I have a place. That I have a place for you to go, for you to worship me, for my presence on earth to be found here.
When you look at Pharaoh, I think of entitlement.
Yeah.
You know, look at me.
Yeah. So we see here that God has taken the imagery from the Egyptians, basically, and turned it on its head and said, you'll recognize these parts of this. That's for his glory. I want to do this for my glory. He wants to rule and destroy and make himself above all other people. I want to bring all of you down so that you just worship me. I mean, he really turned this thing around. And by the way, this is in multiple carvings. This is the best one. Is an Abu Simbel, but on the Upper Nile, which is right about here. But this is depicted multiple times. This would not be something, remember they said we destroyed Pharaoh's army? Like when they were moving, we see this camp set up around him. This is not something that they would be unfamiliar with. They would be very familiar with this. I get a lot of today's lesson from one of my personal heroes. His name is Ray Vanderlaan. I put a video here. The Chinese subtitles, you can ignore those unless you know Chinese.
The rest that you have.
It's Mandarin. It's not the only language
Not
there.
Cantonese.
Mandarin's not their only language.
Yeah. So, but he's speaking in English and you can completely understand him, but there is Cantonese or Mandarin sometimes here. And anyway, he goes into great detail, and actually you can see where this thing is located. It's a great video. Okay, so if you're not, I'm going to plug Ray here. He's getting older now. He's not doing the tours anymore. He has heart issues and whatever. But I really have watched.
Is he 42? 48?
I think he's probably in the 70s now. And he's already had open heart surgery at least once. So. But maybe one day. But Ray Vanderlaan, if you have a chance, he has a series of this kind of stuff, and it's called That the World May Know. And it's put on by there's a Christian organization. Focus on the family. Kind of back to him. It's called That the World May Know. And there are videos on YouTube that are available to you under Ray Vanderlaan, That the World May Know. But like, if you want the whole series, you have to pay for it. I've actually paid for it. I own them. Okay, but that's because I love it. They're just amazing. And he goes back to Old Testament stuff. He talks about Armageddon.
We have a documentary night.
We can do it, Doctor. So anyway, this is Exodus 26 and 27. I enjoy getting through this stuff with you guys because for me, you read as a kid. You read, you're like, okay, Ark of the Covenant, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones. Doing this gets you a greater understanding as to what it's all about, and it puts you right in the middle of it. Yeah. So that's Exodus 26. Join us next week as we continue going through the book of Exodus. Shortly here, we're going to take a break from Exodus, though, and we'll go into our Easter series, which we normally do in preparation for Easter.
Are we doing the full Passover thing?
We're doing the Passover thing again this year. I'll give you information here shortly. And I'll even post it if you're watching this currently, which is 2022. You're welcome to sign up and join us if you're going to be in the Houston area on that date. But if not, then we'll and maybe we'll record it even, and we can post it this year. I think you've been in one. Well, all of y'all.
The last year thing?
Yeah. He'll be here. Set it all up in here. Yep. So I'll get y'all that information shortly. But anyway, I hope you'll join us for the Easter series. If you can, join us for the Jesus and the Passover event. It's going to happen later this spring. We'll see you back next week for Exodus 28.